White Flower Orphanage looked peaceful and welcoming. But behind its walls, a dark secret waited to be uncovered. At the heart of White Flower Orphanage stood Matron Florence Whitmore. By her side was Sister Martha Hale. Among the girls was Alice Hart, quiet, intelligent, and difficult to read. Barbara Finch was the complete opposite of Alice. Friendly, cheerful, and full of energy. Clara Evans loved attention. Confident, charming, and always eager to stand out. Doris Reed, quiet, disciplined, and fiercely independent. She cared little for gossip or popularity. Alice and Barbara were inseparable. If there was gossip in the orphanage, they already knew it. While Doris spent her time studying, Clara was usually busy perfecting her appearance. Life seemed normal as the girls spent their days studying within the orphanage walls. When the exam results arrived, Doris Reed stood at the very top of the class. While Doris celebrated her success, Alice, Barbara, and Clara could not hide their frustration. Students gathered around Doris, eager to congratulate the orphanage's brightest girl. As more students gathered around Doris, Alice, Barbara, and Clara grew increasingly irritated. That evening, Alice, Barbara, and Clara gathered in their room, complaining about Doris once again. What began as a petty disagreement soon erupted into a heated exchange between Clara and Doris. While Clara and Doris argued, Alice and Barbara carried on as if nothing had happened. Beyond the orphanage lay two important places: the bustling village market and the dark forest that bordered it. As the orphanage set off for the field trip, while Doris wandered alone, Alice, Barbara, and Clara happily explored the busy market together. While wandering through the market, Doris met Edith Moore, a wealthy girl with striking blonde hair and an unexpected kindness. As the afternoon passed, Doris and Edith quickly became friends, enjoying every moment together. According to Edith, an abandoned storeroom in the orphanage had remained locked for decades. Back at the orphanage, Doris shared Edith's story with Alice, Barbara, and Clara. Long after the lights went out, Clara remained awake. While the orphanage slept, Alice, Barbara, and Clara made their way to the mysterious storeroom. The girls stood frozen as Clara produced the key. The strangest part was that she didn't know where she had found it. Before anyone could react, Clara disappeared into the darkness, and the door sealed itself shut. Panicked, Alice and Barbara began pounding on the door, desperately calling Clara's name. Moments later, Clara emerged smiling, but something about her felt terribly wrong. Concerned, Alice asked if she was all right. Clara smiled and answered, "I'm fine," blaming Doris for the trouble they had caused themselves. The three girls stormed into her room and destroyed her belongings. Heartbroken and in tears, Doris ran straight to Matron Florence to report what had happened. After hearing Doris's side of the story, Matron Florence gave Alice, Barbara, and Clara a stern warning. During the field trip, Edith finally had the chance to meet all four girls together. Alice, Barbara, and Edith happily explored the market stalls together. Then they realized Clara and Doris were missing. Panic quickly began to set in. Ignoring Doris's protests, Clara hurried towards the dark woods beyond the market. Deep within the forest, Clara led Doris to a dark pit and whispered, "I am not Clara. This will take me to Florence." With a chilling smile, Clara shoved Doris into the pit and watched her disappear. Moments later, Clara returned to the market with a smile on her face, as though nothing had happened. Clara's strange behavior alarmed Edith, who rushed towards the pit without hesitation. With Doris still missing, Matron Florence summoned Alice, Barbara, and Clara to her office once again. Clara's sleep was interrupted by something that seemed to be moving her bed. Half awake, Clara watched as someone slipped through the doorway and disappeared into the darkness. Elsewhere in the orphanage, Alice and Barbara opened their eyes to the same unsettling sensation. Peering into the hallway, Alice and Barbara saw a lone girl slowly walking through the darkness. Without saying a word, Clara wandered through the hallway, heading straight for the abandoned storeroom. Worried for their friend, Alice and Barbara pressed their ears against the door and listened. One moment, Clara asked a question. The next, she replied in a voice that didn't sound like her own. "Who are you?" asked Clara.
"Someone Florence forgot."
Fear finally overcame curiosity, and the two girls ran as fast as they could. The next morning, Alice and Barbara discovered 2 chilling letters waiting for them. Beside the orphanage stood a dead crow, a grim omen neither girl could ignore. Terrified by the letters and the dead crow, Alice and Barbara ran straight to Matron Florence's office. Alice and Barbara froze. The missing Doris was standing safely inside the office with Edith. Alice accused Doris of playing a cruel prank, but Doris revealed that Edith had saved her. Then she shared a terrifying truth. Clara was possessed by someone called Fiona, and Fiona wanted Matron Florence.
That door was sealed for years. Now it's open, and I know who's behind it. My twin sister, Fiona.
Believing Clara was possessed, Florence urgently called for a priest. When Clara woke, she barely looked like herself. Her eyes were red, and her face seemed drained of life. When the priest arrived, Clara seemed perfectly normal. Nothing about her appeared unusual. The prayers had barely begun when Clara let out a terrifying scream. "Florence belongs to me!" Despite Clara's screams, the priest continued his prayers until she finally fell asleep. The priest turned to Florence. "For now, she is under control. But I must return tomorrow." Fiona was Florence's twin sister. But where Florence was calm and disciplined, Fiona was rebellious and unpredictable. As Florence was honored for her achievements, Fiona could only watch in silence. While others celebrated, Fiona was disturbed by the trustees' inappropriate attention towards Florence. The sisters argued bitterly. Fiona insisted something was wrong, while Florence dismissed it as envy and resentment. Unable to stay silent, Fiona challenged the trustee. "How could you do this?" she demanded. Florence was rewarded with responsibility and praise. Meanwhile, Fiona was confined in secret, with the orphanage told she needed to be kept apart. After only 2 days in isolation, Fiona's lifeless body was discovered in the storeroom. Later that night, something was controlling Clara. She seized Florence's hand and led her straight to the storeroom. Hearing footsteps echo through the corridor, Alice, Barbara, Doris, and Edith rushed towards the storeroom. Inside the storeroom, Florence sat frozen in her chair, while Clara watched her with a strange, unsettling smile.
"Welcome, girls. You must know me by now. I am Fiona." "It was your family that locked me away," she screamed. "And soon I'll come for you as well." Before she could reach Edith, the others grabbed Clara and held her back.
Before anyone could react, Clara broke free, rushed behind Florence, and struck without warning. Florence collapsed to the floor as the room fell silent. The moment Florence collapsed, Clara's expression changed. Horrified, she began to cry uncontrollably. Clara wept uncontrollably while the others held her close, afraid she might lose control again. The funeral was filled with sorrow, as everyone remembered the woman who had cared for them for so many years. The funeral was over, but the nightmare wasn't. Standing before the mirror, Clara smiled and said,
Did you really think I was gone?
The girls could only stare in horror. All 4 girls looked in terror.